She thought her secret would stay buried forever. Hidden beneath bright fabrics, sweet laughter, and the irresistible aroma drifting from her kitchen. For years, Mama G had fed the city. For years, people had eaten without question. But that morning, everything changed. It began with a single, careless moment. A tug of her wrapper, a slip of the fabric. And then something horrifying spilled onto the polished restaurant floor. Not rice. Not spices. Not vegetables. Worms. Thousands of pale, wriggling worms, pouring out in a thick, living waterfall. The women screamed. The men ran, dropping their plates. And suddenly the food everyone enjoyed, the stew people fought to taste, the flavor that brought crowds at dawn, became the nightmare no one could forget. And yet, this is not merely a story of horror. No, it is a tale of hunger, ambition, secrets, and the price a soul pays when desire grows louder than conscience. It is a tale told in the marketplaces and bus stops, whispered in school courtyards, and muttered by taxi drivers when the night feels too quiet. Listen closely. For this is the story of Mama G, the woman whose food enchanted the city, until the day her wrapper betrayed her, and her truth crawled free. Long before the scandal, long before the screams, Mama G was a legend in the bustling heart of New Lekita City. Her restaurant, Mama G's Delight, was wedged between a mobile phone repair shop and a neon-lit hair studio. Yet despite its tiny exterior, the line outside was always impossible to ignore. People came at sunrise, at midday, at midnight. It didn't matter. There was always a crowd, students clutching chipped plates, bankers in polished suits still wearing their ID cards, bus drivers, street vendors, foreign tourists, all waiting patiently for their turn. Her stew, especially the special mix, was the talk of the city. Thick, smoky, irresistibly savory, served over steaming yam flour or soft rice. The aroma drifted through traffic like a spell. Drivers leaned out of their windows just to inhale. Even the most disciplined dieters found themselves turning around, whispering, "Just one spoon, only one." People said Mama G cooked with magic. Others said she must have apprenticed under the gods of flavor themselves. Every bowl she served felt comforting, addictive, almost hypnotic. Customers swore they felt lighter, happier, more energized after eating. Some said her stew fixed headaches. Others claimed it healed heartbreak. Mama G smiled whenever she heard their praises. She'd wave her colorful wrapper dramatically and laugh. But behind that laughter lived a secret. One she guarded as fiercely as a dragon guards treasure. A secret she believed no one would ever discover. Most chefs rested after closing hours, but Mama G was never seen resting. Her restaurant shut its door at 11 p.m., but those who lived nearby spoke of strange sounds drifting from behind the metal shutters long after midnight. Rhythmic chopping, scraping, boiling, the hiss of steam. Occasionally, bright light flickered through the gaps, casting long shadows on the pavement. Delivery drivers passing by at 2 a.m. swore they saw her silhouette moving quickly, too quickly, almost gliding instead of walking. Some claimed she hummed while she worked, an ancient lullaby that made their skin prickle even as it soothed their nerves. And every dawn, without fail, crates of ingredients appeared at her doorstep. Not regular grocery crates. These were sealed containers, industrial, stainless steel, marked only with faded codes and no supplier label. They were always gone by morning, and Mama G never explained where they came from. Inside her spotless kitchen, she worked like a woman possessed. The bubbling pots. The strange, earthy smell beneath the spices. The way she stirred with slow circular motions, whispering words under her breath. Customers who peeked inside described the scene as mesmerizing. Almost holy. They felt privileged, honored, lucky to witness a master at work. No one questioned her methods. Who would dare? After all, the results were delicious, irresistible, unforgettable. And that, Mama G knew, was all the city cared about. Soon, people stopped eating anywhere else. Restaurants that once boomed with customers began to echo with emptiness. Even street food vendors complained that their best clients now spent their days in line at Mama G's Delight. Office workers arrived late because they just needed one bowl. Taxi drivers rerouted their passengers, claiming they had to pick something quickly. University students skipped lectures. Nurses on night shift snuck out in uniforms and sandals. Her special mixed stew had become a sensation, then a habit, then an obsession. Scientists from the university food lab visited her restaurant, claiming they wanted to study her culinary brilliance. They bought 10 bowls, tasted each one carefully, and returned the next week with 20 more. Instead of giving her answers, they became customers themselves, loyal, hungry, enchanted. At this point, the city joked that Mama G's stew had replaced water as a basic necessity. Memes filled social media, people pretending to weep when the line was too long, others making fake petitions to declare her food a national treasure. Mama G, wrapped in bright patterns as always, only smiled. A sly smile. A knowing smile. Because she understood what no one else did. The stew wasn't just tasty. It changed people. Little by little, day by day, appetite by appetite. And she believed she could maintain the illusion forever. Not everyone was blinded by flavor. A handful of people, keen observers, skeptics, and the naturally suspicious, began to notice strange details. The first was Kemi, a freelance journalist who adored stories that hid behind shadows. She visited the restaurant every day, not always to eat, but to watch. Kemi noticed how Mama G never allowed anyone near the kitchen after 9 p.m. Even her assistants were dismissed early. She also noticed the way Mama G's wrapper always appeared heavy, as if something thick pulled it downward. Then there was David, a taxi driver who parked near the back alley. He sometimes heard scraping noises, too organic to be vegetables, too soft to be metal. Once, he thought he saw something wriggling inside a bowl Mama G carried, but when he blinked, it vanished. There were rumors too. Rumors of people dreaming vividly after eating her stew, dreams of crawling creatures, twisting tunnels, earthy darkness. Some woke up sweating, craving more. Still, nobody wanted to accuse Mama G. She was beloved. She was respected. She was needed by the city. But curiosity has sharp teeth. And suspicion is a seed that grows silently. Until one day, it bursts. All it needed was the right moment. The right accident. The right unraveling. The restaurant was overflowing that morning, even for Mama G. People pressed against the glass, breath fogging the windows, each person clutching plates like prized possessions. The air was loud with chatter, office workers complaining about traffic, students laughing, mothers negotiating their children's hunger with promises of just one spoon. Mama G swept through the crowd with her usual confidence, her wrapper a blaze of colors. She bent to lift a heavy pot, her bracelets chiming softly. And then, with no warning, her wrapper slipped. Just a little. Just enough. Something pale slid out and hit the floor with a soft, wet sound. People paused. A few blinked. Then more slipped out, thin shapes, twisting gently like strings caught in a breeze. At first, customers thought they were strands of shredded cabbage, or perhaps noodles spilled from a container. But then one moved. Another curled. Another twitched as if sensing the room. The first scream didn't come immediately. Instead, there was a strange, collective silence, an inhaled breath that no one released. The kind of silence that says, something is wrong, but we don't yet understand what. Mama G gasped, too loudly, snatched her wrapper, and pulled it tightly around herself, muttering something about old lining, loose cloth. Nothing to be afraid of. Her smile trembled. Her hands shook. People exchanged nervous glances, but no one dared accuse her. Some thought it was witchcraft. Some thought she carried them for spiritual cleansing. Some said they didn't see anything. Some swore they saw everything. But one thing was clear. A seed of fear had been planted. And by evening, it had begun to grow. By twilight, the incident had spread across New Lekeda City faster than any official announcement could hope to. The whispers slithered through bus stations, across salon chairs, inside corporate elevators, and down crowded sidewalks. "Did you hear what fell out of Mama G's wrapper? It moved, I swear it moved, like it had a mind of its own. No, she's a clean woman, maybe it was a trick of the light. But someone said the things were pale, almost human-colored." "Stop! Don't say such things." Everyone had a version of the story. Everyone had a theory. Yet no one had certainty. Mama G tried to continue as usual. She served her stew with exaggerated grace, laughed too loudly, performed her cooking routines with dramatic, almost desperate flair. But her eyes kept darting toward customers, searching their faces, measuring their reactions. Some still ate, confident, loyal, hungry. Others stood in line, but with their arms crossed, watching, waiting. And then there were the few who walked past her restaurant slowly, peeking in like investigators trying to connect dots that didn't yet form a picture. Journalists circled. Food vloggers hovered with cameras. Police officers even dropped by. Just to taste, though everyone knew they were observing. Mama G's smile stiffened each time. She could feel it. Like a storm forming behind her. The beginning of something larger than a spilled secret. Because the city wasn't just whispering anymore. It was sharpening its curiosity, preparing to cut deeper. 3 days after the wrapper incident, something stranger began to unfold, quietly at first, then unmistakably. People who had eaten Mama G's stew most frequently began reporting odd sensations. Not sickness, no. If anything, they felt too well. Unnaturally energized. Excessively alert. Restless. One banker claimed he suddenly woke at 3 a.m. with a sharp craving for the stew, his mouth watering uncontrollably. A university girl reported that she felt tingling under her skin whenever she walked past Mama G's street. A security guard confessed he dreamt of a warm, crawling sensation around his hands, yet woke up with his palms itching. Medical clinics brushed it off as stress. Friends teased each other. But the affected customers couldn't shake the feeling that something inside them had shifted, even if they couldn't explain how. Meanwhile, Mama G watched them with an expression that hovered between pride and fear. She served them extra-large portions. She gave them discounts. She asked them subtle questions. "How do you feel? Any dreams? Still hungry?" Her voice trembled each time, though she tried to mask it with laughter. Because she knew something the city didn't. These symptoms weren't side effects. They were signs. Warnings of a process she thought she had kept hidden. But now, her customers were changing in ways they couldn't understand. And ways she could no longer control. Kemi, the sharp-eyed journalist, had waited long enough. She'd seen the worms. She'd seen the customers acting strangely. And she'd watched Mama G dodge questions with suspiciously charming smiles. So one night, at 1:48 a.m., she followed her. Mama G slipped out of her restaurant through the back door, wrapped tightly in a dark shawl instead of her usual bright fabrics. She didn't carry her phone. She didn't carry a lantern. Only a metal bucket, covered with a lid that rattled faintly. Kemi stayed a safe distance behind, using the shadows of tall buildings as cover. Mama G walked briskly through the sleeping city, past nightclubs, over pedestrian bridges, through alleys lit only by flickering street lamps. She moved with purpose, as if following a path she'd walked 1,000 times. Eventually, she reached the abandoned subway station, the one closed after flooding years earlier. The metal gates were rusted, sealed, supposedly inaccessible. But Mama G lifted a section of the gate, revealing that it had been cut and reattached with wire. A hidden entrance. She slipped through. Kemi's pulse hammered. She waited. Counted to 10. Then she crawled through after her. The air inside was damp, humming with the sound of dripping water. Mama G's footsteps echoed down the dark tunnels, steady, determined. Kemi recorded everything on her phone. Yet even she didn't anticipate what Mama G was walking toward. Something ancient. Something alive. Something waiting. Down, down, down the tunnel Mama G went, until the concrete walls shifted into something older, stone walls engraved with symbols that didn't match any modern language. Strange markings. Coils. Spirals. Twisting shapes like vines, or veins, or worms. The air grew warmer, almost humid. Kemi's camera trembled in her hands, but she pressed on. Mama G reached a massive underground chamber lit not by electricity, but by dozens of bowls filled with glowing liquid, phosphorescent, pulsing gently like living creatures breathing. In the center of the chamber lay a pit. A deep, circular, stone-lined pit. Mama G knelt beside it. She lifted the lid on her bucket. Kemi's camera caught the movement, fast, wriggling, pale shapes shifting inside. More of the worms. But larger. Thicker.